Thanks, Quinn, and welcome everybody, and I'll call the meeting to order. It's nice to see everybody around, sort of a, I don't know what you call it, the L horseshoe here or something. We've got almost the horseshoe with a little lip, a square. We almost have a square. Anyways, it's nice to see everybody here, and we'll go forward with our meeting. And disclosure any peculiar interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. I have one, by the way, on number 4. I disclosed that item 11B, very limited Hopper Mill, 55 Minto Road. My daughter and son-in-law own this property. So I will just step aside on that one, and the deputy mayor will take on that one for me. All right, anybody else? Seeing none. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the minutes of the Town of Minto, July 12th, 2022 regular meeting be approved. All in favor? That is carried. Additional items. I have one. Anybody else got one? Jean? It's not bad for being in here, but is that going to affect the recording?
Yes.
Well, won't it? I think.
Sorry, flip through and see if I can turn it on. No, I'll try it.
You want what?
Somebody unplugged it. Yep.
Venus?
Or applicant.
Thank you. And I'll ask the town planning technician, Ashley, to make a report. Go ahead, Ashley.
The owners are proposing to construct a one-story 2,000-square-foot shop for the vehicle trailer. However, on the state residential, which is structure height of 14 feet, whereas they are proposing just. If they were zoned as a reduced agricultural. Wellington County Source Water Protection. Funding that will be visits confirmed. Comments or concerns about board.
Troy, did you want to ask it now, or do you want to wait for questions?
I don't think I need that.
Oh.
Just you said Soggy Valley has to come out.
Questions from the committee? Okay, seeing none, I would suggest we would go for the positive.
Certainly. Through you, Mayor Bridge, upon a resolution being carried or defeated, the notice of decision of the Committee of the Adjustment is to be signed by all members of the committee in favor of the decision. So the decision would read that the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment approves the application by Michelle and Troy Burnett for property legally described as Plan 407 Lot 18, municipally known as 9815 Creek Road, to provide relief from Section 6.1.3A of the Town of Minto's Comprehensive Zoning Bylaw 01-86 as amended to permit for a maximum accessory structure height of 21 feet. We would need a mover and a seconder for
Mover and
that.
seconder for that. Deputy Mayor Turton and Councilor Gunson, all in favor? That's carried. Okay, we'll pass that around. You don't have to go to Annalene's garage and sign this anymore.
That's right. No signing in the carport anymore.
That's all good. So I'll state the following. Anyone wishing to receive a copy of notice decision of the Committee of Adjustment with respect to the minor variance application must make a written request to the clerk of Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89 Harrison OG 1ZO or email at annalene@town.minto.on.ca. And I'll adjourn this public meeting. There you go. Adjourn. Oh, I got a little adjourn right there. There. Thank you. Thanks, Troy. Good luck on the building.
We can take the day off, come to. See ya.
Okay. Moved by Counselor McKenzie, second by Counselor Elliott, the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment convenes in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Carried. No public meetings. No delegations, no public question period, no public. Okay. Correspondence. I'm going to state, moved by Counselor Dirksen, second by Counselor Gunson, that the council receives the correspondence as information. Anybody want to pull anything out of correspondence? Okay, all in favor? That is carried. Moved by. Oh, we're going to reports now. So this is Middle Trails report, and I'll have Paul's here to do that one. Thanks, Paul.
Afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of council. It's kind of unusual to be back into this sort of
I know.
position. It's my first go at this. So these minutes go back to our May meeting, so we're a little behind here getting this stuff brought forward, but some of the pieces I've talked to there'll be some updates because we're a few months into the season here and things have happened, which is a good thing. We had at the last meeting there, just at some of the staff report, I mentioned we've done an Earth Day cleanup. So the town social, our economic development, social media staff were good to share some shout outs from any of the things that we're trying to do, whether it's from the trails or the TLC component. So they did their best to broadcast that with some posters and social media campaign too, just trying to get the public to do their part. Always in the spring, there's a bit more cleanup to do. I'm not sure we had a huge amount of uptake just based on the posts that we had or people who used the hashtag and shared their stuff. But on the plus side, there really isn't a whole awful lot of glitter on the trails and in the parks. So we'll probably keep that campaign another year and see if it gains a bit of momentum or try some different angles at advertising it. We had done some tree planting this year, probably not quite as fantastic year. We've had some drought compared to other years in tree planting, but you see the results as you're up and down, especially out like north of Palmerston and between the 13th and Clifford. You see the results of trees that committee members in the past have planted. So we're hoping for the best on those ones. We're able to get some signs put up. So the Greenway trail system here in Hairston, Jill Welsh, who has a long history on that, she and staff member Grace Wilson, they worked together to redesign the signs that are specific to the different sections or loops of the Greenway, because they were aged and some of them were bent and some of them were no longer accurate. So we were able to get those pulled together and put up. And then two bigger signs that indicate properties that we have landowner agreements and the trails share those properties of private landowners. Just as more of an awareness to the public, because it's clear that there's a lot of the public isn't aware that, particularly in Harrison here, the trails actually aren't on town-owned property. So just a little bit of acknowledgement to those landowners and just to give the public some information in that regards to respectful to the private properties. Kind of one of the ongoings in the winter, it's the snowmobiles. In the summer, it's the ATVs. So there'd been some complaints about use of those on the trails. Cam Forbes, our bylaw enforcement officer, he attended that meeting in May. And so subsequently, he and I went out and did a bit of an inventory of where signs were lacking or needed updating. So we're in the process of getting that put in place so that our bylaw that was passed to prevent the use of the trails by motorized vehicles, we can enforce that. We discussed a few projects to spend some money so that we continue to get some money. And we're leaning towards, well, we've already got a photo contest in place. So a small part of that will be some prizes. We're, again, trying to get engagement with the public using the trails and also their avenues of social media spreading the word. So a bit of a networking concept there, and potentially, or especially targeting the younger generations too. So we have a photo contest going. We're going to run till the end of November with prizes being gift cards to local businesses to keep the money within the town. We're zeroing in right now, hoping to do some meetings here shortly with getting some numbers put together and pricing for a section of the trail behind Ann Street in Clifford where it's just drainage and the elevation isn't in a finished state. So we'd like to be able to get that finished because that has the potential to be a really nice finished stone dust path behind the houses right through town from one end to the other. Some volunteer opportunities. We're lucky the committee members were willing to meet with the day camp, the summer day camp students. So they did a bit of a walk and talk and nature hike here in Harrison, guided by Joe Welsh, and then Dave Wilson on behalf of the Lions did the same. He and Councillor Elliott had a group through Palmerston in the day camp there too, just to give them a bit of the history and what's what within the park. I think that's really the only piece that we moved was a memorial tree there you see for Scotty and Susan Forbes. I'm working with Susan to decide just exactly where we want to locate that and what species we're going to do, but we're looking at most likely the trailhead at White's Junction coming out of Palmerston for a fall planting. And Susan, being the humble person she is, she doesn't really wanted to recognize just herself and Scotty. She's wanting to take a look at including those people who historically were part of the Palmerston Trails group. So it may end up, probably from a wording standpoint, we'll probably end up just naming the group rather than individuals, because that's always a difficult thing to name individuals for fear that you'll miss somebody. And then, yeah, on the roundtable, just a few things that are kind of ongoing, things that have been discussion. One of our committee members moved out of the community, but it looks like subsequent to this meeting too, we've got someone else who's willing to step up and take her place as a representative. That's it for that.
Thanks, Paul. Any questions? I know you had a meeting just recently, so there'll be another one coming up in September, which I know some of the things were done, so that's good. Okay. I haven't done that yet.
No.
Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor McKenzie. The council receives the Minto Trails Committee minutes for May 16th, 2022 for information and approves any recommendations contained therein. All in favor? That's carried. And I'll turn it over to Councillor Dirksen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I in turn will turn it over to Mike Kazik, our roads and drainage manager.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge and council. Just before I get started with the reports, I'd just like to take this time to welcome Ryan Binkley to the staff as our development technician, primarily going to be doing plans review with development, site visits, commenting, working closely with the building department and public works together. So welcome. Okay, and then the first report here this afternoon from me is the winter maintenance agreement with IMOS, Integrated Maintenance and Operations Services for the connecting links. So we do see another increase once again, a little over $580 for the Clifford connecting link, which is all of Elora Street, as well as almost an $810 increase for the Harrison connecting links, which are Arthur Street and Elora Street North. It's about a 7% increase, which is consistent with consumer price index that we're seeing right now too. So is there any questions with that report?
Okay, seeing none, I will read the recommendation. The Council of the Town of Minto receives report Public Works 2022-023 regarding the winter maintenance of connecting links agreement and considers approving two bylaws in regular session authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign these agreements. And if I look here someplace, I can tell you who's moving and who's seconding.
Mover is Councillor Elliott and seconded by Deputy Mayor Turton.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, all in favor? Thank you. That carries. And we'll go on to the second report.
So the second report is an amendment to the fees and charges bylaw for the cemeteries. Now, I don't know if everybody has had a chance to go through the Harrison and Palmerston cemeteries. We do have the 72 niche columbaria in place currently. However, we haven't started the sales of them as of yet, hopefully after today. The primary reason for adjusting the fees and charges right now is we currently have a resident and non-resident charges out there, which is sort of makes it awkward for some staff conversations where members of the town have just briefly moved out of the area and then wish to be interred back in their home place of residency. As well as up in Clifford, the Clifford Columbarium. It has one fee schedule for all levels in there, which we are finding it's very hard, or it's harder to sell the bottom two rows in them, just for visual eyesight being down lower. Everything at eye level or higher seems to go first. So we thought it'd be appropriate to have an option for, or a lesser value niche on those. So that's the primary reasons behind the adjustments to the schedules here. Is there any questions with that?
Seeing no questions. The council, moved by Councillor Gunston, seconded by Councillor Anderson. The council of the town of Minto receives report Public Works 2022-24, that should be, regarding the 2022 rates and fees amendment cemetery Schedule H. And that the user fee changes proposed in this report be approved, and the council of the town of Minto considers passage of the related bylaw in open session. Is everyone in favor? Yes, that carries. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mike. I'll turn the chair back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councilor Turkson. And I'm a pleasure to invite Dave and Wes to do a tag team event here.
It's just Dave West.
Dave's going to do it now. Wes isn't going to do it. Where's Wes? Isn't here. Wes isn't here. So how can he do it? I have it down here. Sorry, I should have looked. Oh, well, that's good to know.
That's important.
Good
That's
to know.
important.
Okay, well then, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's all right. That's it. Yep, yeah, that's good. Well, I take that back. Then it's only Dave. Go ahead, Dave.
Sure, it's great behind my head. Come up closer.
That's right. Yeah.
Report for first 7 months of 2022. Looks very, very good. 2021, which was a record year. So it looks like the chart there you see now. We've issued 27 single-family or semi-detached permits. 10 permits for multifamily dwellings, townhomes. 18 renovation addition permits, 40 accessory structures. Couple of what we did last year. And another interesting one is additional dwelling units. That's third of April. And a number of yeah. That's 10 new places. That's movement possible. Commercial is about the same as last year. The construction value is up, but that made plus material. The big increase from last year is industrial. $20 million worth of industrial. To 105,000 last year. That's a lot of it's in Palmerston Industrial Park. We do have large ones in the agriculture is strong. Yeah, that's just the last. Sheds. And so the total is so far this year $8,120,000 worth of million. Compared to just under 20. We're double that. And total. Started this year.
Amazing.
We just put a few highlights together.
Mhm.
When you see the screen, this big
They keep going.
industrial project. And slide on the right that just started erecting next year. So probably by third week of August, they'll be. Didn't put the roof trusses on and by the end of August. Structure itself will be up. All the underground work is done. They're putting around. Estimated cement pour will take probably 2 weeks more. It's 90,000 square feet. Lots of cement trucks.
Yeah.
Next slide is the new middle ag building. Large. Well, that's what it is. However, it is kind of. Next slide. Farmers and arena expansion. Pretty much closed in now. Not sure whether they're still on schedule for or not, but it'll be a lovely addition to their dressing rooms. Next slide is those two various ones. The one on the left is a poultry barn out of the 6x. One of the middle is a large red shed. On the right is a new hog operation. Just kidding, we haven't started the hog barn. Next slide. That just gives you a couple pictures of residences that are constructed this year. And the next slide is the same. There, that's a row residence being built on. Yep. Next slide is one on the bottom left is the Bridge Builders project on Carter Street. Already that was more foundation. On the bottom right, it's on First Park in Harrison. That's one on the top right. Over that. Oh yeah, the Apple one. Next slide is the that's the Raillands development that Davis doing. Have the foundation in now for the first 5 unit townhouse. Nice. Project's named Trestle Bridge. Apparently, that was appropriate. Trestle Bridge. Stand part of that. Next picture is we put that in. West, I both thought this was a very unique sign for an accessory garage. Country Septic system for us. One of them was, Fleming's, I believe that's 10 acres. And one of the raised. Any other questions?
Okay, thanks, Dave. Questions? Dave?
Thanks, Mayor Bridge. Dave,
Mark?
I just heard that there's problems with, talked about, all the trucks that are gonna be about.
There's, yeah, stands down being action. There's just some, just on Ontario, it's. Why? Nobody's being held up too long. with it, but So that class would investigate regular customers.
Happy.
Wide within.
Is the clarifier in these? Didn't think so. Third question on Palmerston Arena. If it isn't ready for the proposed date, that won't stop the ice from going in. Us.
I'm not in the record for.
Yeah, okay, so I have
I
to-
wouldn't think so, because I think.
Yeah.
still use it as the precedent.
Mark maybe takes that, Dave. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to Deputy Mayor Turton. As far as I know, the Palmerston Arena project is on schedule and the ice will be put in on the date that is anticipated.
Thank you, Dave.
Mark,
Report.
sorry. Sorry, Dave, sorry. Mark, did you have one?
Yeah,
Like-
thanks, Mayor George. Must have been awful good news to get the soil test back and allowed to put basements in Harding's project, right? Before that, there was no, weren't allowed to put basements in there for a long time. So there must have been a remediation of some kind of soil in there to get.
There's
But some do, right? Yeah, well, that's cool. That's good news, actually, but for those who want them, but for years it sat with contaminated soil in there.
Yeah,
Good, it's turned the other way for some reason, but
it's a good project too, and we always are
Yeah.
happy to see that. And
certainly.
I bumped into Mark at the grocery store the other day and he's, when these gets done, I think he said he just doesn't, he's got a couple more to do, or I think Terry, but he said he's so busy and just won't have time to do it until next year, but.
Actually have to.
Okay. Anyways, but it was nice that he keeps, like,
Anyway.
what he builds goes and he's got people waiting for the next ones. He just won't get to them.
Mark is talking the same.
Sure,
Yeah, help and supplies.
Jeez. Anyway.
Good
thanks.
stuff. And I just want to comment on the, that we don't want to call them tiny houses. We don't call them tiny houses here, but the additional dwellings and it's kind of neat to see there's 10 of them up there already and almost $1 million. And so I give both the county and this town council a lot of credit for seeing that was an opportunity there. And do you have a bit of an idea, Dave, where they're renting out to people, or is it family, or is it other people, or?
Like a lot of them are not like this.
No.
Ones that we have. For single person.
Yep. Yeah, good. But it's going that route. Yeah, just that they're just so new, they're not occupied yet. Okay. All right, good to maybe keep an eye on that statistic just to see where what we're getting from that.
I know there's been a couple of cases where.
Yeah. Mhm. Yep. Works out. Mhm. Yeah. Eric, go ahead.
The only thing I just wanted to mention or bring to the council's attention, looking at the whole properties. Our Minto's growth rate is based on 52 years. We got 5 months left and we're at. So we're exceeding what we anticipated of Minto. That could open up and in the next MCR.
Very good.
Moving more than what's planned.
Not easy.
Can't track.
Right.
Good, Mr. Mayor.
And those subdivisions are gonna come on pretty hard.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Just in that, talking, how much building we allowed in each of our communities now with the sewer and water systems, are we capable of moving at this speed?
Mhm.
For any length of time?
So, Palmerston's system is good until 2031.
Mhm.
But with the accelerated growth pattern, that's gonna cut.
Yes.
But it depends too on where the pockets of development are. So it could shorten up, be that, yeah, we're supposed to be growing at 52 and we'll probably be double that. It could put a pinch on services. We're keeping an eye on it for sure.
So if we get to that, then we're gonna have to make a decision whether we plan to grow anymore or remain the same. I guess that's gonna be a decision that we'll have to make
It's gonna be a big dollar decision.
in the near future because we're gonna have to have additional sewer and water and.
And remember when we did that report, Ron, it was always gonna be a living document. We were
Yeah.
gonna continue, because what you might see 80, and I would never want to jinx anything, but we've seen years where, because of things that happen that we have no control over, that you might have 21 years. So, but we know the good thing about that 10-year plan is we knew going out where we're going to be short over a period of time. So we knew if the growth was a regular 52, that we'd end up having 5 years left. And if we need to go faster, if it goes faster, then we might have to rethink. And Harrison was the well situation. So I think the staff have got a good handle on watching that as much as they can as we move forward and as we bring more stuff on. So I'm sure they'll bring the council up to date on that as we go
I
forward.
would think we'd have a better idea in 2 years and.
Oh,
we see
totally,
that growth.
totally. But because we did that 10-year plan, we're not going to be in the dark. We already know that we have to do investments of X down the road if we want to continue. So, yeah. Jean, I'm sorry, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I do. Terry, if I could just ask, so that review, when you say it may make some more land available, can you explain that or expand on that?
So the way that it works is they look at what the anticipated growth for the entire county is, as well as employment plans.
Right?
What's needed, and then what municipalities are driving that. So right now, with the total amount of urban boundary expansion that people can go, they're looking at, this is the first MCR that they've done, so they're looking at what's available now, and with the 2051, I think it is, growth date, how much more land each municipality is going to need. And it's based on what your growth patterns are. So with us growing by 52 units per year, we may need in 10 years, 10 extra acres. Where some Center Wellington is growing faster than us, so they may need 30. So that's what I mean about, yeah.
So, and that, at that point, they would consider then allowing agricultural land to be used for urban development?
Yeah, yeah.
And do they tie into where our service status is for each community? Because I'm going, our growth can't be the highest in Wellington County by any means. If you go near Fergus.
So it's definitely not, it is
Yeah.
laid out per municipality.
Okay.
But it's up to staff and council to allocate where it goes.
Right.
So Clifford is the only town or service urban center in the entire county that has more than enough water and sewer capacity till 2055 beyond. So it would be advantageous to direct the growth there, because that's going to alleviate us being under the gun to upgrade the sanitary system. For instance, just as an example, but yeah, that's something that we're going to be looking at and coming back to you in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Just one more, Mayor George, is there any way that we can track, it's hard to do, the population growth other than the units? It's like, we don't get a census for 10 years and by that time we've moved on again and people have left and passed away and it's hard to do, I think, but
We don't have.
No.
yeah,
any way of
capabilities
tracking a
to track
population,
that.
no.
We know older numbers, but we don't know how many are under.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could.
Yeah. Where are you going?
I have to report on that. County planning department, the finance department, they send estimates to the household and apartment. Not perfect, but it's better than the best we've got.
Yeah.
And they're in touch with. Do kind of
Yeah, we move ahead with units and it's great, but we have no idea how much we're really growing population. Anyway,
Yep.
just a question I thought.
Okay. And that's why it's great to have Ryan on board, by the way, because as you can see, this is going to be part of his new job is doing a lot of the coordination with a lot of this growth with Todd and Mark and Mike and all the other services. So welcome aboard there, Ryan, on that. I can see you're going to be very busy. So, and the nice part was you're not coming in blind. You worked for Triton before and you know a lot of these projects and you've been involved with them since day one. So yeah, and you're going to hit the ground running. I know that. Okay, that's great. That's great. Okay. Clark, yeah.
Yeah, Rich, one more question about the additional dwelling units, Dave. Has every municipality in Wellington adopted that? Sorry about that.
I don't know if everyone.
No, they have not.
No.
Nicholson has not. They haven't had the appetite to do it. No. Center Wellington has done it for years.
No.
Welfare Massa, I don't know. So maybe 50.
Okay. And I have a motion. How are you that? Motion moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Dirksen. The council receives the building 2022-07 report regarding the year-to-date permit statistics for information. All in favor? That's cool. And I missed one here.
Yes.
What did I miss?
No, you don't miss, sorry, you didn't miss any. You may wish to leave your.
Yeah, this is where I'm
Yes.
turning it over to you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll just go over here.
The next item is the Havermill Plan 2022-045. I'm going to ask Ashley to present this, please.
Perfect. So this is for a consent application in the Palmerston Industrial Park. So this was originally 3 parcels that was subdivided by the town in 2014. And then over the course of time, as the owners owned all 3 parcels under the same legal ownership, they have merged back together. So 2 of the parcels that are just on the left-hand side there are where Minto self-storage is. And the one on the right-hand side there is where Grant Service Center is. So the intent with this severance is to sever those 2 lots off with the one business from the 1 lot with the other business, just so they have separate and distinct ownership. There's existing servicing, existing accesses. It's a very straightforward severance and more of a technicality. So we are recommending that council recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve the consent application with the conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you, Ashley. So by Councilor Dirksen, seconded by Councilor Gunson. Council Town of Minto recommends the Town of Wellington Land Division Committee approve the consent application for 7522 2380681 Ontario Limited. Described as Minto Concession 1 Part Lot 24, RP 61R 434 Part 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, and 16, RP 61R 2022-5 Part 7, Part PT Part 4 in the former Town of Palmerston, Town of Minto, County of Wellington, municipal addresses of 55 Minto Road, 151 Frank Lambier Court, and 161 Frank Court in the Town of Minto. Following conditions be considered. That the owner applicant satisfied all the requirements, Town of Minto, financial and otherwise. Subject lands, I can read all this.
No, through you, Deputy Mayor Turton, just the following conditions be considered as the report
Okay.
stated.
And I'm going to ask questions. Anybody have any questions for Ashley? Questions? Seeing no questions, I'm going to call the question. All in favor, raise your hand. Yes. Thank you very much. Don't need to read that.
I was waiting to see if you're gonna do the whole
I
thing,
know.
but
Don't you remember me always saying?
No, I don't remember. I'll pass the chair back to the mayor.
Actually, just like to write all those down for us. Thanks, Deputy Mayor Turton. Okay. So next up, go ahead, Ashley. Your next up is number 5, right? Yeah.
Yep, so this next report is regarding 3 severances that I've consolidated into one because it's for one parcel, and it's off of Elgin Street in Palmerston there. So they're proposing to sever 4 vacant lots that are residential and proposing a single dwelling detached on each one. Council may recall the Elgin Street extension agreement and previous severances for the Jane Street lots coming before them, as well as a hold removal on the Jane Street lots. These severances could not be applied for these new 4 lots until they had legal frontage on an open public road, which is Elgin Street, that has now been constructed, and we will be passing a deeming bylaw hopefully later this afternoon to open the road. The property also has a holding provision in place that must be removed prior to the consent being complete, which is also being brought before council later this afternoon. And the town continues to hold securities for the construction of Elgin Street until all of the works are completed. Ultimately, we are recommending the approval and that council endorses the approval to the Land Division Committee as well with the recommended conditions.
Okay. Questions? Oh, Rod, go ahead.
Does that butt onto agricultural land, the road that goes, or the street that we put, Elgin Street, does it butt into ag? What's that? butt into?
So it's future development land, actually. So that's part of the reason that we opted to construct the bulb in case it's not developed anytime soon. And then we'll hold on to parts 1 to 4 in the bulb as part of the road. So if it ever does need to get pushed through, we have the control there.
So if somebody could eventually develop it, if that was the case.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything else? Moved by Councillor Anderson, second by Councillor Elliott. The Council of Town of Minto recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve consent applications B 8222, B 8322, and B 8422 Robinson for land legally described as concession 1, lot 76, part lot 77, the former town of Palmerston, the town of Minto, County of Wellington. The following conditions be considered. And I've got the conditions there if anybody wants to. I won't be reading them. Okay.
You
All in
should
favor?
have-
Carried. Okay. Go ahead, Ashley, number 6.
Great. So this consent is for the Logan property in Palmerston there. So it's partially located within the urban boundary of Palmerston and partially located outside of the urban boundary in North Perth. The portion within the urban boundary is currently zoned and designated as residential and has been subject to proposed residential development plans since at least the late 1970s. The entirety of the parcel was originally proposed for a draft plan of subdivision. However, the owners opted to sever 3 of those lots that front onto Queen Street in 1978 and sometime thereafter the other 3. So those 6 parcels that front onto Queen Street South were once a part of this original farm parcel. Town staff note that the intent of this property since at least the late 1970s has been for residential development. And we have recently been advised of development intent on the severed parcel that's within the urban boundary of Palmerston. We haven't received a formal concept plan to date. And should the property be developed with more than a single unit for severances or a draft plan of subdivision, it would be coming back before council for their consideration. This is simply just to split the residentially developable land that's in Minto from the agricultural land in North Perth. So we are recommending that council endorses the County of Wellington to approve this consent with the recommended conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you. Questions? Councillor, Deputy Mayor Turner.
Thank you, Mayor Briggs. So I'm looking at the picture.
Yes.
It's in Perth. So say they wanted to move ahead, they would have to deal with Perth, obviously. To that, likely, and it's zoned agricultural.
Yeah, so it's zoned and designated agricultural. And they've had to apply for 2 severances because the parcel is technically in 2 counties.
Fun of that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I've got moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor McKenzie. The Council of Town of Minto recommends the County Wellington Land Division Committee approve the consent applications B 8822, Carolyn, Jennifer, Scott, and Wendy Logan. for the land legally described as concession 10, part lot 18 in the former town of Palmerston, town of Minto, county of Wellington, the following conditions be considered. And the conditions are there for you. All in favor? That is carried. Number 7. This is sort of a planning meeting today.
Mhm.
A little bit, yeah.
The agenda is
Yeah.
kind of like that, pretty well taken over.
So these two consents that I've consolidated into one report for you here, they're for 22 Ann Street North in Clifford. So the owner purchased the properties and have rebuilt the house I tried to overlay with the picture there in 2020, and they're now wanting to sever off 2 lots. The one lot will have frontage onto Ann Street West and the one lot will be on Getty Street. They are located within the urban boundary of Palmerston or Clifford, sorry, and they are already designated and zoned as residential. The owner has advised that their intent for each lot is to build one single detached dwelling. Public Works, our development technician, has noted that for lot 1 fronting Ann Street, sanitary and water connections are required to be installed in the town's right of way. So the lots will be individually serviced. Lot number 2 will also require sanitary and water services in the right of way. Standard policy for the town is that this is completed by a pre-qualified contractor and we hold 110% of the costs of the works to be completed. Should they not be completed or should something go wrong, we have the money to fix it. Town staff are recommending that council recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve the consents with the recommended conditions outlined in the report.
Okay, questions?
Again,
Ross, go
sorry.
ahead.
Could they build a duplex although he committed to building a single? Is that, can that change as long as they qualify for that?
So the existing zoning is a site specific, so they could. The second lot, they'd be lacking frontage, so they'd have to come back before council for either a variance or a rezoning. This lot number 1 that's facing on Ann Street technically does have enough space to fit a semi, but they would be up to them to put enough servicing in for both units.
Okay, so just because they commit to it doesn't mean they have to follow that.
They have to follow up the zoning is, but
Okay.
yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Not, I've got moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, seconded by Councillor Guston. The council of the town of Minto recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve consent application B 8922 and B 9022 Matthew Benson for the land legally described as lots 270 and 271 Planned Village Clifford, the former Village of Clifford, town of Minto and County of Wellington, and the municipal address of 22 Ann Street North in the town of Minto, and the following conditions be considered. And they're there in front of you. All in favor? That's carried. One more.
This is my last one.
It's your last one.
Yeah. So this one we did just briefly touch on with the Elgin Street consents there. So council may recall this property coming before them regarding the severances in the Elgin Street extension agreement, which came before them at a previous council meeting. The Elgin Street extension is an existing town-owned road allowance within the urban boundary of Palmerston that has now been constructed by the developer of the Elgin Street and James Street lots at their sole cost. The developer has constructed the road and the municipal services to the town of Minto's design standards. Road construction has been completed as of Friday to a point where the road can be opened as curb, base coat asphalt, and infrastructure have been installed. As previously brought before council, Elgin Street will be constructed with a bulb for the ease of snow removal and turning movements. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be holding on to parts 1 to 4 that will be deeded to the town as part of the road. There are currently 3 existing lots off of Elgin Street that have been proposed to have semi-detached dwellings on them. So that'll be another 6 units there. And then the 4 across the road are going to be single detached, as well as the 2 that were brought before council earlier on the James Street frontages with 2 more single detached there. There is also a hold removal that we need to lift in order for the developments to start and take place. This was dependent on Elgin Street opening, so we brought it forward before you in the same report. Town staff are in support of removing this hold removal as Elgin Street's been constructed and the services are installed. And the conditions and comments for the severances still apply. So we are recommending that council passes a bylaw to lift the holding designation from the lands and farther that council passes a bylaw to open and establish Elgin Street.
Questions? Deputy Mayor Turton.
Streets paved, right?
Yep, base coat asphalt, yeah.
Moved by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Anderson. The Council of Town Minto receives the planning technician's report for a zoning bylaw amendment to lift the holding H designation from lands legally described as concession 1, part lot 22, lot 7375. Mary Caswell's survey and Minto and Mary Caswell, says it Caswell? Survey lot 76, part lot 77, RP lot 22, lot 73 to 75. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Lot 76, part lot 77, RP 61R 21608, parts 5 and 6 for information. Consider passing a bylaw in open session. For the council pass bylaw in open session to open and establish the name Elgin Street. Okay. All in favor? It's carried. Turn it over to Deputy Mayor Turton to take the chair.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I want to talk today about the transfer agreement, the ICIP Green Street. I'm gonna get Treasurer Duff to give us some insight on this.
Thank you, Chair Turton. Yeah, just a little history on this. This is one that brought to council in Denver. It's a project in the well and then have expedited into a shorter period of time. So we received provincial approval and very federal approval parts. But Rogers here has been working with the still hopeful. All.
Questions for Gord? I guess I should do my part here first, Gord. The recommendation is moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Council Town of Minto receives report FIN 2022-018 regarding the ICIP Green Stream Transfer Payment Agreement and considers a bylaw in regular session authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign the transfer payment agreement. Questions, Gord? Good. Has this been tendered? Right, so timelines, Todd, we have the money.
Yep.
Not gonna grow other than,
Yeah. Yeah, so ideally, I would have liked to have it done this fall, so it's gonna be very weather, like maybe some temporary water there, so if it doesn't happen in the fall, certainly spring, but yeah. It'd be best, it's still gonna depend a lot once we get the tender out, people unavailable. With a lot of stuff lately, with what there is for parts and like what we get back, but yeah, ideally this fall.
so the tender goes out, you get a guarantee on price, and if you do it in the spring, it's no big deal.
Yeah,
That's the way it works.
that's what we're hoping.
Any other questions? All right, those in favor, raise your hand. You against, that's carried. Thank you very much. I'll pass the chair back to you.
Thank you. So we're now to other business. It's goes Jean.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
In celebrating the year of the garden,
Yeah.
which is across all of Canada. We've done our Garden of the Year contest. So the pictures are posted on the website now. There's going to be an article and ballots available in the Wellington Advertiser for those who aren't in tune with the internet way. The gardens, there are some beautiful, beautiful gardens out there. I encourage you to take a look. They're open for tour on the 13th, which is going to be a really, really busy day in town. You can start at 7 in the morning and just keep going all day. But I encourage people to vote. People have bothered. We're trying to get more engagement as always, and it's a bit of a struggle sometimes, but we did get 15 applicants, and we'd encourage people to have a look and have their say and decide which one they like the best. And there are some decent prizes coming down, and they'll be judged. There's 7 finalists been selected, and they'll be judged by Ben Cullen, and that's a nice little feather in your cap to have your garden approved by Ben Cullen or his dad, either or. They're pretty prestigious in the gardening world, so just wanted to remind people about that.
Thanks, Jean. Yeah, good project, and thanks for the 15 people that are.
Good work.
Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Belinda here for what my one little surprise thing for the council here. So I'm going to let Belinda do justice to the award, or to what she's going to talk about. She has notes.
So I'm pleased to announce that Memory Tree Productions and the town of Minto were the recipients of the Award of Excellence for Film Video Government Relations in the 2022 Communicator Awards for the Move to Minto video that we created last summer and launched in May. The Communicator Awards honor excellence in strategic, effective, and meaningful communication across digital, video, podcast, marketing, mobile, print, and more. Communicator Awards received almost 5,000 entries from companies, agencies, studios, and boutique shops of all sizes, making it globally one of the largest award shows of its kind. The Award of Excellence is the highest honor and is given to those entrants whose ability to communicate positions them as the best. All winners of the Communicator Awards are hand-selected, this is critical, by the Academy of Interactive and Visual Arts, an invitation-only group consisting of top-tier professionals from acclaimed media, communications, advertising, creative, and marketing firms. AVIA members include executives from organizations like Amazon, Disney, ESPN, Spotify, and the Wall Street Journal. This is a great accomplishment, and we are so pleased that this was a made in Minto production. Special thanks to Justin and Kara McIntosh from Productions for residents. To our brand consultant, Heather Waterworth from Creative Worth, Minto Business and Resident. To all of our residents and business owners who helped capture the true essence of Minto, and obviously my team who helped pull this together, Aaron and Summer. Yeah, so really super proud of this. And just so you're aware, since the launch in May, so it's only been 3 months, the 2-minute video has had almost 3,100 views, and the short 15-second clip that we used in our Google campaign has had over 43,700. So really surprised to win something like this. We didn't even know we were entered. But we're really proud of it and they're just about it.
No, it's so great, not only that, and I guess Memory Tree probably put it in for,
Yes.
yeah, because it was their area, but it looks like an Oscar. I said, it looks like an Oscar. But it's great that we had a local firm that did it, and I know Belinda's getting a lot of mileage with it, and I have, there's little cards there that you can hand out to real estate people, can hand out at open houses and whatnot, and yeah, I think it's just a great thing, and that's probably why, in my opinion, this council and councils before this council really had the vision to look at economic development and understand that that's the driving force, and updating our video was very important to do. And I'd also like to thank all the people that were involved in it, because it's all local people, and it was really, if you get a chance to see it, I get a tear in my eye when I see it. I want to move out of Minto and move back. But, yeah, it's really amazing, and thanks for this council for support of that. And it's nice to get an award. And I believe we're gonna would you want to mention that?
Yeah, sorry, I should also mention the video has been shared with all of our developers. Everything has been shared, and they were super thrilled to receive it because it helps them stop the percentage as well. And we are submitting, I'm in the process of this developers association where we'll have entries, brand guidelines, website, public print piece, as well as the video. So hopefully this is not the first, hopefully this is not the last, I guess.
Great, thanks.
Very good.
Okay, and only thing I have left is I got a note out about the parades, and just some people have already got back to Annalene, I believe. I think we're going to try to use the little train again. Makes sense that we can use it. It gives us
Train in Palmerston.
train in Palmerston, if that's all right with everybody. And we'll get you times when you have. I think we've already had the times. Yeah, that's on there.
Yep.
Yeah. So hopefully you can let Annalene know. So we know that certain people are going to make it, can't make it, or whatever. So we don't wait for you. But yeah, let's take advantage of finally getting back. And I just want to say, finally getting back to having our fairs. I know Drayton had theirs last weekend, and it was great. I saw some good pictures of what, that was very hot, I would imagine, but great pictures and the fact that we finally get back together and fairs are such a vital part of our culture and our community and to have, be able to get back. So if you can get out to the fairs, I'm gonna have to miss Palmerston Saturday and Sunday. So hopefully a few of the counselors can be out on Saturday and Sunday. We have a family function that I have to go to. But I'll be there for the Harrison one, and I'll be there Friday night, obviously, for the Palmerston one. So hopefully everybody can participate if possible. Okay, Dave?
Mayor Bridge, I think we forgot to talk about the mayor's golf.
Oh, well, that's going to be coming up in September, but yeah, we did have the golf game, and thank goodness, I don't know who was in charge of the weather, but I must give them a lot of credit because the day before it wasn't very good. And they had a big tournament the day before and got 6 holes in, and we managed to get a little bit of rain, but got everybody in, and thanks for everybody participating. But there'll be a further report coming up in September with the numbers and dollars and whatever for the groups. But
Great day.
yeah, thanks for everybody that could participate in that. Okay, anybody else got anything? Good.
Did you want to mention that this weekend is the Harrison downtown?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought maybe Belinda would have mentioned that.
Sorry.
And I guess in saying that, unfortunately, I'm gonna miss that as well. And a few of us will miss that because it's AMO, start of AMO, but maybe Belinda, just give us a little update on the fact that we're going to have our next downtown thing.
As Councilor Anderson mentioned, some of us will be up all day from 7 a.m. till 1
Sure you
a.m.
will.
the next day for the Christmas street party. Starts off with breakfast at the Legion. We're going to Amo and we'll miss out, but we have a full day of the Lesson Works car show over 28 acres. And Beer Gardens, live music and DJ. To approach our arts and culture crawl, which is a new addition. So we have artists painting live on the street,
Neat.
groups in the arts, doing activities, things. Then we have our barbecue on Boulevard, which is dinner we're doing, and we're still trying to sell some tickets for that. Take us down the street, and then the street dance is always really popular. Right for good weather.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, thanks. Okay. Moved by Councilor Gudson, second by Deputy Mayor Turton, the committee of the whole convenes the regular council. All in favor? Any notice of motion? None. Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Anderson. The Council of Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? That's carried. Bylaws.
Resolution at the bottom.
Oh, yeah. Moved by Councilor Anderson, second by Councilor Dirksen, the bylaw number 2022-78, 2022-79, 2022-80, 2022-81, and 2022-82, and 2022-83, and 2022-84 be read first, second, and third time and passed over to council and sealed with the corporation. All in favor? We just avoided the going through them all. We talked about that. That was good.
Consent
Moved-
agenda, is that what that is?
Yeah, that was, yeah. Moved by Deputy Mayor Turton, second by Councilor McKenzie, the bylaw number 2022-85 to confirm the actions of the Council of the Corporation of Town of Minto respecting the meeting held August 9th, 2022 be read first, second, and third time and passed an open council seal the corporation. All in favor? And finally, moved by Councilor Gudson, second by Councilor Elliott, the Council of Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor?
Oh, all right.
That was
All
official.
right. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you in September. Well, hopefully we'll see everybody